All right, welcome back to Reclaim Firefighter Fitness. And in this episode, we're going to talk about how to eat at the station without giving up the lifestyle you have as a firefighter and still being able to lose 25, 30 pounds in the process. And before we get into that, we have to talk about why is this hard? And if you're a firefighter that's out there listening to this that thinks every time I lock in, every time I want to get into a headspace where I'm going to prioritize my health and my fitness, every time I try to get serious about it, I build up some momentum just to burn out and crash out later, then this video is going to be perfect for you, especially if a lot of your self-sabotage comes from when we talk about diet at the station, especially when, as a firefighter, we know the communal meals are not always the best, most nutritional option. Sometimes it's more about convenience. Sometimes it's about what's fast, easy, and tastes good. So when you have all that working against you with sleep deprivation and chronic stress and fatigue, well, of course it's going to make the diet really difficult. So let's talk about not how to fight it, not how to fight your lifestyle, but how to come up with a system that's going to enable you to live within it and still be able to make the progress and get the results that you're looking for as a firefighter, and not just something that you start with and you keep for a couple of months, but something that's actually going to be a system that will maintain your results for the rest of your career. Okay, so let's break this down into 3 easy steps. The first thing when you talk about having communal meals at the station is just going to be the fact that you don't always have control over the food that you're eating. This is the number one thing we have to address before any of the other stuff. And what does that mean? Since you're a part of the fire service and the culture is around family, brotherhood, community, then the first step that so many other people in the fitness industry won't understand is going to be have a conversation with your crew. That is the very first step. And now we have to answer why. Why am I going to go and have this conversation with the crew? Because of the lifestyle, because of your choices. Those things can inform on your relationship with others. And we just have to call out the elephant in the room here. Sometimes when you make a decision to eat differently and better yourself, other people will take it personally. So one of 2 things is going to happen when you come through and you talk to your crew about it. First, and hopefully the best option, is they're going to be accepting and supportive of what you're going to be looking to do. They're going to support your endeavors and they're going to partake in it with you. All right. The second option, which as much as I hate to say, and much as I wish wasn't a part of the culture at some fire departments, we can't ignore. They might not be as supportive. They might tell you that they're not going to work with you. They might tell you that you're just going to have to suck it up and eat whatever they make, and they're not going to be helpful. And in that scenario, a couple of different things can play out, but you should be prepared depending on how serious you are about this. How important is your health and your performance, not just as it pertains to your ability to perform on the job, but for your family, for your crew, for the community. How important is your health on the scale of priority when we consider those things? And so you might have to make the very hard decision. And by the way, I'm going to say, if that means that you have to make your own meals and plan ahead of time and to eat in a way that's going to support your overall goals and longevity, then that might be a decision that you have to make. And I'm not saying don't eat with the crew. All right? There is a difference between not eating with the crew and not eating the same food. That time, that quality time with the crew is important. It should be valued. We shouldn't ignore it. But it might still have to be a decision that you have to make. And I will take my personal experience into this. That is the route that I had to choose. Unfortunately, working at a department that wasn't always receptive to that. And my crew was great, by the way. But it wasn't always the same on every other crew. Sometimes there was some resentment thrown into the equation. And I also tried to do this little in-between, hey, I'll be in on some meals, I'll be out on others. And what do we think happened in there? It's depending on the meal, I'll be in or out. And then, of course, that just led to people getting frustrated and taking it personal. Oh, you be in on so-and-so's meal, but not in on mine. I see how it is, taking it personally. until the solution that I arrived at was like, I'm just going to make this clean, cut, and dry, and I'm going to be consistent. Like, I'm out unless I'm cooking, and that's it. Where's that bar for you? That's got to be the first piece of the equation. After that, once we've had that conversation with the crew, once we are on the same page or trying to be, with expectations being put into place, whether you have to do the extra mile because they are or are not supportive, after that, we have to talk about tracking your protein and your calorie intake. And the fitness industry really likes to make this idea complicated. They want to treat us like bodybuilders, but the fact is we are not. You don't need to perform or look like a bodybuilder. Your goal isn't to have a six-pack year-round. Your goal is to be able to perform the job to the degree that it demands with integrity and respect. Okay, so how do we simplify? How do we simplify and make it so that I need to eat at just the calories and protein? Like, don't worry about anything else. Don't make it overcomplicated. Those two factors. Firefighting is chaotic as a lifestyle, in and outside of the station. You cannot afford to add extra complication to the equation, right? We are already time compressed in a way that most people do not understand. Got it. So after that, if we're going to eat for calories and protein for weight loss, assuming that you're still watching this video, that you are in fact trying to lose weight and have been struggling as a firefighter, then the next thing inevitably is, well, how much calories should I be consuming for weight loss? And what is an appropriate protein intake, which I'm going to get into now. When you're talking calories for weight loss, the equation, as in everything else that we teach at Reclaim Firefighter Fitness, is going to be incredibly simple by design. It's not about perfection. It's about having a system that you can continue to follow through on over time. Calories, we're just going to shoot for your goal body weight times the number 13. Done. That's it. Those are the amount of calories you should eat for fat loss. Fat loss, not just weight loss, but fat loss is what we're going to be looking at. After that, we're going to have to consider protein. And the fitness industry has done a really good job of teaching not just firefighters, but everybody in the space that you need to eat at least 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. And if you've tried this and had any experience with this, which you probably have, you realize that, hey, sometimes that can be kind of unreasonable. Especially you're like a bigger person, you know, say, hey, I'm 250 pounds. All right, great. 250 grams of protein in a day. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying that it's difficult and you have to sacrifice a lot to do it. Now, why do we still believe this? I believe the reason is just like the fire service, the fitness industry is behind in adopting new practices and new research and new science. Okay, great. So what's the actual science saying about how much protein you need as a firefighter to operate optimally as a performance athlete? The science is saying, to make it simple, 0.75 grams per pound of body weight per pound of goal body weight. 0.75 grams per pound of goal body weight is going to be more than sufficient to sustain muscle growth and maintain muscle tissue under duress and strain. That is it. So how does that change the equation? It makes it so that you can get more nutrition, more fiber, more nutritious sources of food outside of just protein. Okay, for performance, like carbs, healthy carbs and fats into the equation that will actually boost your energy and boost your performance and give you the benefits of muscle growth. We need to simplify. We do not need to layer and layer and layer on more complexity. That is never going to work for firefighters. You're going to get burned out mentally and physically. Now, you might be thinking, well, hey, this is great. I can track my food, but what if I'm not making the food at the station? How the heck am I supposed to track it? And for that, I actually have a bonus tip for you, which is you're not using ChatGPT the way that you could be. Most firefighters are using this as a search engine. What we need to do is realize some of the capabilities that you have at your fingertips. We live in an age where this wasn't possible 5 years ago. So we better make use of it. You can take a picture of your food at the station of your plate, submit it to ChatGPT, and ask it to give you the general calorie and protein breakdown. And you might be thinking like, hey, is this really that accurate? Here's the thing. It is far from perfect. I want to be very clear on this topic. It is far, far, far from perfect. And the goal is not perfection. But here's the other truth. It is going to be better than you just throwing a dart at the wall and guessing it. Just playing the guessing game. It will be 10 times better than that. Is it something you should use all the time? Like, should you get content and lazy with it and think like, I'm just going to use this for all of my calories? No, because it won't work. Okay. But in the moments where you need it, maybe where you're not in control of the diet or the food, is it better than nothing? Absolutely. Throw that into your arsenal. And in fact, this is something that is so convenient. We've thrown it into the Reclaim Firefighter Fitness app as part of what we provide the people that we work with, and it can automatically upload to their nutrition diary. It's awesome for when you need it, but consider it to be like a supplement. Now, this leads me to my last point, which is, well, what should my training be like? You know, we have the nutrition. That is going to be the majority of the battle. 1, have a conversation with the crew. 2, make sure you're tracking your calorie and your proteins. Use ChatGPT when needed. But lastly, like, what should I be doing for a physical routine? Like, what's going to actually optimize for fat loss? Not just weight loss, but fat loss. And the thing is, you should be asking yourself, what's a routine that I can keep up for the long haul? Not something that I can just do for a couple months and then I burn out. See, me and a lot of other people, a lot of other firefighters, the story is we gain weight and then we lose a bunch of weight, but then gain it all back, and then lose the weight and then gain it all back, and then lose the weight and then gain it all back, over and over and over and over again, this vicious cycle. And I think that lies in simply just not asking the question, is this something that I can do for the rest of my life? Is this something I can maintain, something that I can make consistent progress forever? And that means that you can't be in the gym 6-7 days a week. You shouldn't be taxing your central nervous system that hard. You should be doing 2 to 3 times a week at most, to accommodate the fact that, hey, sometimes you do 6 calls after midnight. Sometimes your energy is going to be depleted. And the goal would never be perfection, but it will be progress. Outside of that, your walking routine. People underestimate the value and the impact of just walking and more movement. 10 to 14,000 steps a day, combined with the calorie and protein metrics that we provided, combined with being on the same page with your crew and a strong weightlifting routine that it focuses on functional, full body functional strength and mobility. You combine all of this together and just watch what is going to happen to you in the next 3 or 4 months. You see, this system, it doesn't just work for me. It's worked for hundreds of other firefighters at this point. Why don't we look at some examples? Let's take my client Kyle, for example. He made, in just a year and a half, a 140-pound transformation using this kind of system. And the last time he did a weight loss phase, he did 40 pounds of that in 3 months. How? Because he stopped trying to use a system that was fighting his lifestyle every step of the way. And by the way, Kyle was the kind of guy that was pedal to the metal, work out twice a day, 6 days a week, 3 hours at a time. And man, did he stall out there. And guess what else it led to? To nobody's surprise, a lot of injuries. He switched over to this style of doing things with a system that actually made sense for the way that things are done in the fire service. And he saw progress like he's never seen before, spending a fraction of the amount of time that he spent in the gym prior to that. He took it from 12 to 15 hours a week down to 2 to 3 hours a week spent on his physical routine, just by focusing on a system that made sense for the fire service in the first place. Or we could take Justin, for example. He's a California firefighter. He met his goal weight of 165 pounds within just a few months of doing this program. And more than that, what he really recognized was the freedom of motion, the injury prevention, the aches and pains that were gone, and on top of that, the increased bottle time and performance that he saw that he's never seen before in his career. Again, because he followed a system that made sense for firefighters. This isn't generalized cookie cutter BS. This is something that's designed with firefighters only in mind. And then we have David. David's a captain at his fire department. As an officer, he's responsible not just for himself, but for his crew. And he found himself between having kids and having a busy lifestyle outside the fire service, being pressed for time to make a routine for himself. And he was one of those guys that just started and stopped, just never found something that worked out, that didn't burn him out and didn't leave him pressed for even more time that he felt like he didn't have. Now he's made an incredible amount of progress, and he's actually following a system that works for the lifestyle he has when he can only dedicate a couple hours to his physical routine in the first place. But it doesn't matter because he doesn't need more than that. All of these people, they had one thing in common, which is they took action. They took action on a system that they knew, man, I've tried too many things before, and this just hasn't been working for me. And they got to the point where they're like, I have to do something about this. But they didn't just talk about it. They didn't just think about it. They actually followed through with the actions and with the integrity that is demanded of those in the fire service. You see, when we're out of shape in this line of work, it becomes a much bigger problem. You have a 9-to-5 job, then great. Okay, you can be a danger to yourself. But in this line of work, it's not just about you. It is also about your crew. It's also about your family. And it's also about the people that you swore to protect, to serve. So if you're tired of spinning your wheels, you're tired of trying and buckling down and recommitting to losing weight and getting in shape as a firefighter and starting over again, you want to break the cycle altogether and start down a new path altogether, then I'll invite you to book a call with one of our enrollment specialists by clicking on the link down below. They'll walk you through exactly what a plan would look like, how it can be personalized to you, not just as a firefighter, but you as a person, because not everybody's the same, even in the fire service. And we'll talk about a foolproof game plan to get you to the destination that you want to get to and keep you there. Not just get there, but keep you there long term. So you can develop the skills, the knowledge, and the foundation to make sure that this is a transformation you keep for the rest of your life. All right, that's all I have for you guys in this video. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the page if you got any value out of it. And other than that, I'll just leave you with a reminder, which is, remember, regardless of how you feel about the job, being in shape is part of the uniform. I'll talk to you guys next time.